Have you ever felt like you completely understand why you react the way you do, but your body still responds like you're in danger? Maybe you've been in therapy for years, you talked through your past, and yet certain situations still leave you feeling anxious, overwhelmed, or just shutting down. If that's you, today I want to explain why that happens and why so many people are talking about a therapy method or intervention called EMDR. And we're going to get into all the nitty gritties with it today. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Lunar Counseling Podcast. I'm your host, Kiara Brown. I am a licensed emotional counselor, EMDR certified therapist, certified hypnotherapist, and the owner of Lunar Counseling. If you spent any time online recently, you probably heard someone mention EMDR therapy, maybe seen celebrities talk about it, maybe a friend recommended it to you, or maybe a therapist has brought it up as an option to help with whatever issue you came into therapy for. But even though it's become much more well known over the last several years, a lot of people still don't really know what it is or why it works. So today I want to break down what EMDR is, how it works, what it feels like, who it's for, and some of the biggest misconceptions people have about it. If you feel like you've understand your struggles logically, but your body still reacts like you're in danger, this episode is for you. So people are always thinking like, is EMDR for me? And that's a good question because it might not be or it could be. One of the biggest things I hear from people, though, is they say, I know how I feel this way, but I still can't stop reacting. Maybe you've been in therapy before. Maybe you talked through your childhood, your relationships, or difficult experiences in your life. You understand your patterns. You know where they come from. But every time something reminds you of experiences, your anxiety spikes. You might shut down. Maybe you start panicking, or maybe you feel overwhelmed before you even realize what's happening. All just coming up automatically without any conscious thought on your part, on your end. I've seen how powerful this approach can be when talk therapy alone isn't enough. So in my work, I see clients who have become frustrated because they understand their trauma, but their body hasn't caught up yet, or they have been so cut off from their body because of their trauma or the things that happened in their life, and they just want to get back in touch with it. So understanding something intellectually doesn't automatically teach your nervous system that it's safe, because the nervous system and your logical mind do not talk like people think that it does. It doesn't. And that is where EMDR can be super helpful for whatever the situation is. So before I explain how EMDR works, I want to do something with you though. So let's just pause for a second, take a deep breath. Just notice your body. How are your shoulders feeling right now? Are they tense? Are they loose? How's your breathing? Is it shallow? Is it quick? Now let's take another slow breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. That's the kind of awareness that EMDR helps people develop. It takes time. It's not all at once, but we're listening to your body. And instead of only listening to your thoughts, you begin to also listen to how your body is responding as well. And that is the biggest indicator of change and how you can actually move forward. So now you're probably saying like, oh, this is awesome. But what is EMDR? That's why you're here, right? You want to know what EMDR is. EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and repurposing. It was developed by Francis Shapiro in 1989 to help people struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. It has since expanded from that, but that was what the intent was. The basic idea is that when something overwhelming happens, our brain doesn't always process that experience the way it normally would. Instead, the memory can be stored in a way that keeps it feeling emotionally and physically present even years later. That's why someone can know they're safe today, know nothing is happening, they're not in that environment anymore, but still have a panic response, intense emotions, or physical reactions when something reminds them of the past. Even if it's not exactly that same situation, right? Just say someone was in a household where there's like a lot of that noise, slamming cupboards, slamming doors all the time, is like triggering. Even a book falling to the ground in a classroom can trigger that response for them because the same loud thumping noise. So during EMDR, we activate those memories in a safe, controlled environment while using bilateral stimulation, which can include eye movement, tapping, sounds, or vibration. So bilateral just means we're working both sides of the body at once. So it's things like this, or vibrating candles, whatever you're doing, light bars, or alternating sounds in your ears. That's the sound part. And the goal is not to erase the memory. The goal is to help your brain finish processing that got stuck. The memory stays. What changes is the emotional and physical distress connected to it. So basically, you had the memory, you know what happened, but the emotional intensity of it and your physical responses to it kind of goes away. Now, to get into how this all works, right? People think the big EMDR is like, oh, they're just moving back and forth, or we're doing the tapping. It's actually just a very small part of the process. There's a very complete 8-phase protocol that EMDR takes. It starts with getting to know you and understanding your history, so we know where we're going, why we're doing it. From there, we spend time building coping skills, learn regulation techniques, and making sure your nervous system is ready before we ever begin processing trauma. If you're not ready to do it, we are not going to your trauma. If you're still getting easily triggered by day-to-day stressors, we are not going to go back to your first trauma that has shaped everything else until we can get you into a state of calm in the present. Only after that preparation do we begin targeting the memories. As we process these memories, we also work on strengthening healthier beliefs about yourself, checking in with your body, grounding after sessions, and reevaluating progress over time. There's a reason EMDR has 8 phases. Preparation is just as important as the processing, if not more so, in my opinion. And the whole time, because we will talk about like the negative belief that's coming in your head all the time, like I'm not enough, I'm not lovable, I'm worthless, whatever like your negative thought is. We will find a healthier belief or a positive cognition, depending on how they say it, and reinforce that one. And we can help you go in and say, okay, what would you have needed in these times? And every therapist has a way of like doing if it is in their own unique way, but we all follow the 8 phases. To get from point A to point Z, we have to follow these 8 phases. However long that takes us is totally dependent on you. So probably asking, okay, so what does this feel like? What is this going to be like in a session? And the truth is it doesn't feel like traditional talk therapy. So many people notice memories coming up naturally. Others, those emotions. Some notice body sensations they hadn't realized they were carrying. And certain people was like connecting dots that they didn't know that they never had before. And a lot of times that can happen too. Like we can be working on a wholly different memory and then realize it's connected to this other memory way over here. And it can just all coincide. Some people say it feels like something has been stuck 3 years, finally starting to move. But it's really, really important to understand that you are always in control. You're not unconscious. You're not asleep. You're just fully in control. Just like with any other therapy, you're always the one in control. And you're fully aware of what's happening, and your therapist is there to guide and support you at the entire time. So an example, someone might logically know they're safe driving today after being in a car accident years ago. Every time they get behind a wheel, the body reacts like the accident's happening all over again, especially if it was a really bad accident. And EMDR helps resolve the disconnect between what your mind knows and what your body still believes. And that's the key. Your body is still stuck in that trauma response, and it's getting the mind and body to talk again. Like I said, EMDR was originally developed to treat PTSD, but research has expanded over the years to see what else it can help with. Today, it's being used with anxiety, depression, panic disorders, phobias, disassociation, body dysmorphic disorders, substance use disorders, somatic symptoms, medical-related conditions, and many others that are continuing to be researched. And that's why I do like EMDR is it's not just focusing only on the diagnosis. It focuses on identifying the memories that continue to influence how you think, feel, and respond today. So that's a really good thing because you don't need to talk about every little thing in your life. You can be like, I'm dealing with this issue. We can identify the member that's dealing with that issue and kind of do domino effect. So what's important to know though is EMDR is not a magic fix. It is not something that happens in one session. It is not going to happen in one session. And it's not simply your eyes move back and forth. It is definitely not something you should rush without preparation. And a good EMDR certified therapist, or even training, some people don't want to do the certification, which is totally fine. They spend time helping clients learn regulation skills first. Because again, if you can't manage day-to-day stressors, we are not going to go back to your first trauma. It's not going to happen. If someone is constantly dissociating or struggling to stay present in everyday life, we don't need to jump into trauma processing. I need to have this repeated so much because some people think, oh, I can go to an EMDR therapist and start processing my trauma right away. If you don't have the skills to handle day-to-day life, we are not going to process your trauma. It's just not happening. The foundation has to come first. Healing takes time. Okay? We're not going A to Z in one session. It's not happening. Some people, it can take months. For others, it may be longer depending on the complexity of your experience. There is no set timeline in therapy. There's never a set timeline. Anyone that says, oh, you can be cured in like 5 sessions. I mean, maybe, depending on what you're dealing with. It was just like a normal, like, oh, like I had a little blip in my life. I want to talk it out for a little bit. Cool. And nothing else is ever gone. It's fine. But for complex traumas or anything else that's been like ongoing or lingering, it's not gonna be fast. Just to be straight with you, it won't be. Expecting fast results, you're gonna be disappointed. So after all this information, you're probably still wondering, okay, is EMDR right for you? And here's some things to know if it's the right fit for you. If you've been in therapy for a long time, based on like your body keeps reacting, even though your mind understands what happened, EMDR may be worth exploring. If you're tired of only talking about your trauma and you're ready to help your brain, body slowly process it differently, EMDR can be an incredibly effective approach. But just as important as therapy itself, that's the relationship you have with your therapist. So the best outcomes happen, regardless of what modality that is used, happens when you feel safe, supported, and understood by your therapist. So make sure you take the time to find someone you genuinely connect with and feels like someone that you will get the best help from. So how that kind of cleared up what EMDR is and how it's used. Also, one other thing to remember too with EMDR is whenever you're in the full processing phase, there's not a lot of discussion about what memory is coming up. It is really just focus on the body, focus on how you're feeling, and we go from there. It's not a whole lot of discussion. You'll do a set of processing. The therapist will be like, what do you notice? You say maybe a sentence or two, and we'll say, okay, go with that. And keep going. We're not going to discuss it. It's not that. And just something to remember too is healing isn't always about understanding more about why something happened. Sometimes it's about allowing your brain and body to finally process what they've been holding on to for so long. So I hope this episode gave you better understanding what EMDR is, how it works, and why so many people are talking about it, and why so many people are trying it. So if you found this helpful, I really appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel and share this episode with someone who might benefit from it. If you're interested in learning more about EMDR work with me, you can visit my website, www.lunar-counseling.com. And if there are other therapy approaches you'd like me to explain, let me know in the comments, and I'd love to cover them in a future episode. Thank you for spending time with me, and I'll see you in the next episode. I also wrote an article about this in Brains Magazine that you can look up as well, and I have a little bit more detailed information on there, as well as research articles that you can read to get some more evidence-based information about EMDR as well if you want to learn more about how it was used in different situations. So I look forward to seeing you guys all in the next episode. Thanks. Bye.